I was sent this question by an attendee of the group, which is how not to be taken advantage of when one is committed to radical forgiveness as a way of life. Now this is an excellent question. As you start to do spiritual work like A Course in Miracles or Hawkins' work or self-inquiry with Muji, as you start to do this work, what will come up is the idea that, which is true, that one needs to work towards unconditional love of everybody, no matter who and what they are, which is true. Now, when people start to do intense spiritual work, actually a certain state arises whereby intrinsically everybody is seen as being beautiful and their innate divine lovability is witnessed, which at a certain level can be quite intense. In my case, bringing tears to my eyes just to witness people. Now this level of intense witnessing of beauty in the beginning does lead to a period of what I'd call spiritual naivety before there's an evolving of the spiritual consciousness, so then that witnessing of everything being equally lovable is also, one also has that capacity to divine intuition and discernment. You know, even though you might, even though you know that a person is a compulsive thief, but you see their intrinsic lovability, at a certain point you just leave your wallet and not care about it on the table. But because they seem to be so divinely lovable, and all it's like there's an absolute trust of the universe and that everything is going to be okay, which it will be. However, you probably might find that if you leave the room, you know, your wallet's missing, because that person's not in the same level of consciousness as you. So with a bit more work, then you start to get spiritual intuition that you love the thief even when they're in the room. However, you've got that intuition that leaving your money around carelessly is not wise, even though you see. So that's the evolving of the consciousness, so that there's now discernment along with the witnessing of the lovability of all of God's creation in all its forms, from the bank robber to the thief to the saint to the man on the street. So that intrinsic lovability is seen, but there is a stage of naivety. What I strongly recommend if someone's going to do intense spiritual work is they be a member of a spiritual group or have a spiritual mentor that they can check in with and just see if what they're doing is seeming to be in alignment with higher wisdom, or whether there seems to be gross spiritual naivety in doing something. Obvious things would be, to put a bit of humour into it, is like if you'd read the newspaper and there was a picture of an axe murderer, and you went onto the street and you saw the axe murderer, you might, because you've done so much spiritual work and you're committed to unconditional love, you may see that person as innocent, as beautiful, as a brother, and you may want to go up there and hug them. But that would be the phase of spiritual naivety. In spiritual wisdom, there would be an intuition that you love them and you see their intrinsic innocence and their divinity and their beauty, but would be to love them from a distance and not get too close. So one of the things while you're doing spiritual work is having a mentor or a group where you can share things, either within the group or with a mentor or other spiritual fellows, just to make sure who are further along in their spiritual development, so that they can just guide you not to make some of the green errors that you can do while you're working spiritually, because there's lots of things, such as was mentioned in the question. You learn that dealing with people who have not got spiritual integrity, then the general thing to expect is they can be dishonest, they can be selfish, they can lie, and they're out to achieve their own self-centered motives, and they have no capacity to be aware of how, or limited capacity to have their to see how what they're doing can affect another person, or they feel so strongly that they need what they need. It doesn't really matter what happens to another individual. Well, at a certain point, when you do enough spiritual work, you have an awareness of others and are mindful, so as not to harm others. And later, as you are more evolved, then it becomes one is more of has a more loving, benign nature in every moment. So those are some of the things I would recommend to do. Just reading the question again, how not to be taken advantage of when one's committed to radical forgiveness. Yeah, radical forgiveness. So let's say if it's extreme radical forgiveness, which is a very advanced pathway, a quick pathway, say somebody steals £10, I know who it is, I'd immediately work on it so as to forgive them. I completely forgive them. I had no animosity towards that person. I see that they're innocent, or that through ignorance of their programming that led them to do that, but I see their intrinsic innocence and beauty. So now, radical forgiveness at a certain level, if you're in the naive phase of spirituality, would be like you'd leave your money lying around again, and the person would steal your money again, and then you'd have to forgive them again if you still had a resentment or a grievance with that person. So now what I'm suggesting is, either if you've got a group, they'd probably tell you not to leave your money around, even that you can love them but be cautious with your money, or it's probably best not to get into a business relationship with them, or may not even be good to have a one-to-one relationship with them, but to love them from afar and forgive them for what they've done. So that can be the thing. Sometimes, guidance may come forward, is to let the person know with love that what they've done is inappropriate. So it depends on the various context of the situation. So later on, the commitment is to love and forgive everyone at every moment, but also to develop that innate intuition of when it's good to speak to people, not good to speak to people, not good to have a relationship. Generally, people who are spiritual, who are honest, who have integrity and responsibility, usually are trustworthy. But there are many who are untrustworthy, and getting that spiritual discernment is something that you'll develop, especially if you're in the support network of groups or people or mentors.